Hey guys, welcome back to Chaos Core Tech. My name's Garrett, and today, I'm sure you've noticed, I got a new camera. So sorry you have to see this in such high detail. But that's not really the point. Roberto is the point. So Futurama fans will know exactly who this is. One of the most iconic characters for sure. And if you don't know who it is, why are you here? We can't be friends. Go watch it. So what do you say we take a look at how I created this guy? Let's do it. In order to create Roberto, I went into Fusion 360 and I mostly used sketches. I used sketches for all of the main body parts, including the pelvis area, the main torso, and the head, and all the details on the head and the body. And then I actually sculpted all of the limbs. The whole process was pretty straightforward. I knew that the hardest part was going to be getting all of the rings around his arms and legs. And originally what I was planning on doing was going into the sculpting environment and using a cylinder and just stretching it out to be the shape that I wanted his arms and legs to be. And then I was hoping that I would be able to create a pattern of rings and just pattern it along the length of the arm and the leg. And that worked, sort of. The big issue was that I didn't keep a consistent size when I was moving around the cylinders. So different parts of the arms and the legs were different sizes. And there's really not a way for the rings to scale to that along the pattern. So what I ended up doing in the end was taking one of the lines off of the sculpted arm that I had, and I put a circle where the arm needed to start, and I used the sweep tool to basically move that circle all the way down that line. So it gave me a perfect thickness the whole length. And then I used the previous technique of just patterning rings all the way down. The rest was pretty straightforward. It was just making sure that I had the proportions correct. Then after the model was done, I printed him out on the XYZ Printing Nobel 1.0A SLA printer. This was my first real test of SLA technologies because this thing had a buttload of support on it, and when I loaded it up there and it generated the support, my initial thought was there was no way this was going to complete, and it was pretty crazy. But I decided just to kick it off and see maybe it can handle it, and it actually came out really freaking good. Really, there were only a few issues, and I mean, you had the tiny spots where the supports broke away, but I think that's pretty much unavoidable on SLA prints. And aside from those, really the only thing that happened was there was a little bit of droopage underneath of his eyes, and it's really not that bad, and I think I could have fixed that just by increasing the supports. But I was running on very limited amounts of resin, so I decided just to leave it and have my wife paint it. And once again, I apologize. I cannot get print footage from this printer. It is too dark in there. But after it got done printing and I separated it very carefully from the build plate, I cleaned it off in an alcohol bath, and the supports break away like almost by themselves. It's ridiculously easy to pull the supports away. So after all was cleaned off and it was cured, I handed it off to my wife for painting. And this was the first test we did with painting an SLA print. And the quality of the print was just amazing. Like, especially on the front and the back of the torso, it was so flat to the touch you couldn't see layer lines, you couldn't see any imperfections. In fact, right when I pulled it off before it got a little cloudy, I could look through the back of his body and see the details of the door on the front of his body. And the arms and the legs came out amazing. You'll be able to see in the little showcase footage I put right after this. The rings on those, at this height, I just don't think are possible on FDM technology at this level of detail. It's absolutely insane. And I actually printed him at a 0.1 millimeter layer height, so I could have gone to a 0.025. So my wife just took a really fine grit piece of sandpaper and just lightly went over some of the more problematic areas. She really didn't have to spend hardly any time sanding, and then she just went straight to the filler primer and started painting it. So needless to say, this was a big step forward in #SaveTheFingers. Then of course my wife used a combination of paintbrush and airbrush techniques to get this looking like Roberto in all of his crazy goodness. So with all that, we have Roberto. Okay guys, well there you have it. Roberto, and yes, it was done on an SLA printer. That's pretty huge deal. This was the first like real model that I created. If you watched last week's video, I created a chess set, but that didn't need any painting. Most of them didn't need supports. So this was really a test run, and both my wife and I learned quite a few things in the process, and I'm sure you've noticed in some of the pictures there's little blemishes and stuff where the supports were, and it was kind of an interesting thing. You couldn't really see them when we applied the filler primer, but then the paint kind of really brought them out. So we'll know to take care of those more in the future. But those are honestly really, really minor. This thing came out amazing. And I just can't believe how little work my wife had to do compared to these other guys to get this here. Like, obviously the painting is still pretty much the same, but the sanding process is just phenomenally lower. And as I refine and figure out how to print these things better, I could probably reduce that and get it to a point that she wouldn't need to at all for some models. And I really wish you guys could see this and feel it in person, because compared to these other prints, it is just smooth to the touch. It's really something else. So I really think I'm addicted to SLA. I'm gonna need to get one of these printers that I can keep. So this is normally about the time that I would put Roberto up on the shelf to take his place among the rest of the models back there. But this one's actually going to be a little bit different. A while ago, when I sent Joel that Planet Express ship, I was contacted by a guy that has the largest collection of Futurama stuff in the world. And he's actually trying to set a world record. I forget exactly what the world record is, but it's basically most collected things from a TV show, I think, something like that. And he chose Futurama, and he's really close, but he needs just a few more. And there's actually a section in there for fan-made stuff, so that's where I come in. And originally he just wanted the Planet Express ship, so I told him I would make one of those, and I offered to throw in another Futurama model that I had not made yet. So that one's actually coming up, but since then I've decided that my entire Futurama collection, which at this point is just Roberto and the Planet Express ship, but will be quite a bit more in the future, will just live with this guy. His name's Andy. I will put his Twitter up on the screen right here and down in the description. You should go give him a follow. You can see pictures of his whole collection. It's really pretty insane. But I got to thinking, and what better place for all of my models to live than alongside the biggest collection of Futurama stuff in the world. And it would be an absolute honor to have helped break a world record. I think that'd be really cool. So I'm not sending this one out yet. I've got a few other things to put in the box, but here pretty soon these will be heading out to Andy. And you guys can expect to see more Futurama videos in the future. Okay guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and get subscribed below. Really does help me out a lot. And then that's it for me. So until next time, keep creating.